What does your investment portfolio look like without gold? Incomplete.
Why?
Because as a gold owner, you have the power to make bold decisions. To balance risks and returns. The power to buy and sell right at your fingertips. Because as a gold owner, you can secure your investments with your strategic advantage. Gold.
Without which your portfolio is incomplete.
Power your portfolio with gold. World Gold Council.
Good afternoon, namaskar to all my dear friends. It's a long time that we have rejoined. And friends, आज का टॉपिक ये है कि DGFT policies related to imports of the gold item. Basically, since IBJA is a organizing party, so our main focus will be related to gold only. But we can also discuss various items of the precious and semi-precious items finding in a chapter 71 of the customs tariff act. So friends, जब भी अभी आपको कभी भी कोई इशू जाए कुछ आए तो I think Saurabh, I hope you have some mechanism of recording some questions and asking questions that can be resolved later on.
हाँ सर, पहले आप बता दीजिए, चीजें समझा दीजिए, उसके बाद हम लास्ट में क्वेश्चन का सेशन लेते हैं.
Okay, that's fine. Good arrangement.
No.
So basically, मेरा फोकस यही रहेगा कि DGFT से रिलेटेड जो पॉलिसीज है, डायरेक्टर जनरल ऑफ फॉरेन ट्रेड is a authorized agency to draft policies related to import and export of all the commodities, and here we are focusing only with the gold, so related to gold. So basically there are three kinds of policies which can be summarized. Policies that can be where we call it all the goods are freely importable, and the second is there is certain amount of prohibition is there, and in case of third category there is a restriction. In case of restriction, it is import is allowed subject with a certain policy conditions, and it is permitted by the DGFT with proper application and a proper payment of the fees to them. So here we largely we are going to focus gold in most of the forms are restricted in nature. That requires permission from the DGFT, and there are various notifications that have been issued from time to time after realizing that the customs, while implementing the import and export laws, they have realized that certain loopholes were there, so they have tried to plug those loopholes, and we'll also cover those notifications and how it has been tried and how it has got an impact on the import. And there are a lot of product which specifically fall in different category of gold, and there is specific restriction with a policy condition. We can also discuss those things. So friends, all the items are free unless prohibited and restricted. So as we have discussed, most of the items are restricted. The free item currently are basically gold ore and concentrate, that is free. And so basically gold ore and concentrate with certain percentage of the gold, and which is refined in India with various refineries that have been set. So if it is imported in gold ore and concentrate, it is freely importable. Of course, there have been certain cases booked by the customs and DRI where they have found that that is not meeting the criteria of ores and concentrate. That we can discuss at the time of question and answer session. And another category of the gold related jewelry, basically, which is freely importable, is when it is studded jewelry. jewelry in a plain form is restricted, but jewelry in a studded form, it is allowed. But again, the degree, the quality, the quantity, value of the studding in the jewelry is not clearly defined in the DGFT policy. Again, that is leading to some disputes, because there have been certain imports in certain parts of India where the 99% jewelry item is of a jewelry, and just 1% a very insignificant small amount is of the studded precious and semi-precious stones, and the customs has concluded in their investigation that the studded jewelry is being imported to avoid the restriction which requires to be placed by the DGFT and the subsequent licensing conditions. So basically, what we have understood, currently only oaths and concentrate and studded jewelry are having free import conditions. They are freely allowed, and of course there are certain conditions which they are met, so there is no problem. Again, there is a considerable degree of discretion at the respective ports and airports when they implement the laws. At some places, they easily allow. At some places, they are extra careful. They are trying to find out certain loopholes and mistakes by which the goods are being held up. It is detained, sometimes seized, and it is not being cleared. So those being the specific situation that can be discussed. So basically, this becomes the nature of the freedom available for an import of gold and a jewelry item. And now I can also cover, in fact, I like to cover that what are the situations where when they are imported with certain benefits arising out of a free trade agreement with certain countries like ASEAN countries, Thailand, it is there, and certain jewelry, when it is being imported from those countries, a lot of jewelers are facing problems. We can discuss those situations a problem, because I have been handling those matters, and there is a lot of personal experience that where things are being caught and where the problems are coming to the importers. So friends, while importing from those countries having the free trade agreements like Indonesia, Thailand, there are requirements of regional value content when it is being imported in India. To explain these things, I'd like to take you little briefly how these free trade agreements are entered between the government of India and those respecting exporting countries. Friends, these free trade agreements are permitted as per the exception clause of the World, which is also signed by India. So under that exception clause, where by providing importing and exporting country, maybe the regional partners, they can have their own bilateral or multilateral agreement providing certain extra benefits to the trading members. So when these agreements are signed between these two partners, they become the trading members, or you can say the free trade agreement partners. And the free trade agreement is signed with certain conditions and with certain products availability in the respective countries. For instance, since there is a requirement of the value addition arising out of the regional value content, so friends, only those items are given preferential treatment when they are locally procured, locally sourced, and they are subjected to local value addition. That is the reason, say around 35% of the value addition requirement is there. And once the value addition requirement is there, so there is formula how to calculate the regional value content. And as per the formula that is calculated, and when it is imported on the basis of the country of origin certificate issued by the respective trading body of the exporting country, and it comes to India. And then in India, since the customs being an execution and implementing agency of the DGFT policies, so it is incumbent upon the customs to see that all the conditions of the regional value content and a country of origin certificate with certain conditions, whether these are genuine, whether these are fraudulent, all these things are implemented and checked by the customs. And like the country of origin certificate has a lot of information. There are certain minimum information as per the Caruta rule, which was enforced from 2020 onwards by amending the Section 28 of the Customs Act. Government got an inbuilt power by adding another section in Section 28, where they introduced the Caruta rule, and India got a power to investigate, to ascertain genuineness of the country of origin certificates, RCV requirement. Although these provisions are already well built in the original FTA agreement, but since it was subjected to large misuse and the exporting countries were not providing timely information, as a result, Indian cases were getting time barred, and the government was not able to issue the show cause notices, or they were not able to decide the cases in a timely manner. So they amended the law by providing the time frame of the implementation as per the Caruta rules. In Caruta rules, even there are obligations to be made by the exporting country. Here, for instance, a lot of jewelry, gold and silver jewelry is coming from Indonesia and Thailand. So Thailand and Indonesia becomes an exporting country, and then they are required to implement those minimum requirement of the information that should appear in the country of origin certificate. And when it comes to India, Indian authorities, they have got a discretion to accept or not to accept. Now, there could be various grounds for the doubting the genuine of the country of origin certificate. One could be like the signatory authorities, in both the countries, exporting, importing, the signatory officers, their name, their mobile number, email ID, their signature, sample signature is already shared among the authorities. Sometimes there is a mismatch in the signature, or mismatch in the names, or mismatch in surnames. So that creates some kind of doubt. Second category is that on the basis of the regional value content calculation formula, it has been ascertained that certain expenses which have been calculated to calculate the RCV is not genuine, because it is not falling as per the formula. And as friends, we are already aware that the direct cost and a certain amount of profit, the manufacturing cost, is subjected and divided by the landed cost of the imported products and multiplied by 100, and it should be more than 35%. This is the standard requirement. And when it is this extended requirement is not fulfilled, for instance, when they are calculating regional value content on the basis of the landed cost of the imports, or certain administrative or overhead cost or manufacturing cost, certain figures, there is a lot of variation. I have noticed that certain jewelers from Thailand, Indonesia, they are showing certain cost towards the calculation, and in case of some other jeweler, they are not showing. So again, there is a variation in methods adopted to calculate the regional value content formula. It is not uniform. Somebody is doing, somebody is not doing. So again, that leads to considerable amount of doubt in the mind of the customs authority, where say that what kind of accounting systems are being adopted. As friends, all of you know that each country has a standardized accounting system. Like in India, the accounting system is enforced by the ICI regulations. Government has its own standardized system accounting to how to account for the manufacturing cost. So if there is a considerable amount of difference between the methodology adopted while calculating the RCV, that leads to the problem, because then custom authorities say that certain calculations are not allowed by certain accounting standards of a particular country. Similarly, certain elements of cost is very difficult to ascertain whether it is part of the manufacturing cost, or it is part of the landed importing cost, or it is part of the administrative cost or overhead cost. Due to overlapping nature of those expenses, it becomes very difficult to provide a certain quantitative figures. And if the quantitative figures are not provided properly, it becomes difficult to calculate properly and arrive at a proper calculation of RCB systems. So my friends, because many of you are importers, please kindly advise your exporters to adopt a uniform accounting system and standards of a exporting country. For instance, if it is imported from Thailand, so the accounting system and standard developed by the Thai government authorities should be universally applied. If it is applied differently by different exporters, so that creates a lot of problem. And the next set of issues that come, the providing minimum level of information in the country of origin certificates. So those minimum level of information, as per the Carota rules, it has to be there mandatorily. There can be a more information, but those minimum information have to be there. Third factors come, and that is largely not related to importer-exporter, but the execution part at the end of the implementing agency, that is the customs, where the Carota rules, where the FTA agreement allows that in case of any doubt and a verification, there is a system of verification authority. There is also a system of verification widgets. There is also a system of the verification with the help of respective embassies. So the procedure that has been laid down, it became very time consuming. For instance, with my own experience in certain cases, the respective customs commissioner, he shares the doubt and a verification request to the board. Then board shares it to normally to the Directorate of International Customs. Directorate of International Customs provides to the respective embassy, and the respective embassy provides to their exporting countries. So there are 3-4 channels for verification purpose. Many times it happens that the Commissioner of Customs has sent the request to the board, and it is lying unattended because thousands and thousands emails go every day, and perhaps the information or even the doubts are not clearly spelled out. So the forwarding officer in the CBIC or a DIC, they are not able to understand clearly that what kind of doubt is there or what kind of verification investigation is required. So here, when anybody's consignment is subjected to any verification, it has to be ensured by discussing with the officers that they should spell out the doubts very clearly. It should not be full of ambiguity. The doubts has to be clearly spelled out. For instance, if the signature is not matching, so it has to be there that the signature of the exporting authority who has signed in the country of origin study is not matching. So it has to be very clear. Or the name is not matching, or the email, or number, yeah, certain minimum level of information, or it happens. That could also be doubt. In fact, it has come out in many of the DRI investigations that the exporting countries who are supposed to implement the RCB, and they are supposed to export the products, but it has come out with the statistics of those exporting countries or data from those exporting countries that that kind of production and cultivation of that product is not available. For instance, if somebody is importing the silver jewelry from a particular country, say Thailand or Indonesia, so silver jewelry has been imported into India, for example, 100 tons, whereas local production or local import in Thailand is only 20 tons. And the import of silver in Thailand is available from their domestic laws and data. So government or DRI, they are able to find out those data, and they are able to find out that the formula that has been carried out while calculating the RCB is incorrect because the local sourcing norms are not being made, or if at all they are being made, they are manipulated figures. Once even slight degree of doubt in terms of manipulated figures of the RCB is there, then under the carrot provision, they will provide, and it becomes very difficult for exporting country to satisfy the requirement. Many times they are not able to satisfy the requirement. And the third category, which also gets support with the carrot provision and provision of the respective free trade agreement, that in case of any doubt, there is an option available to the both importing exporting country to organizing the verification visits. So this verification visit can be requested to the officer, said that if you have any doubt, kindly visit the place, kindly visit the factory, kindly visit the premises, and the respective authority who has certain doubts or they are investigating, they have option of visiting and doing a field verification there itself. They can visit the factory, they can calculate the things, they can see the things whether local sourcing requirements are being fulfilled or not. So many times, because exporting jewelers, they do not have enough infrastructure locally available. So this particular problem of verification gets stuck up and it takes considerable time. And if it takes too much time, the execution agency in the customs in India, they try to say that, okay, pay by the bank guarantee and a differential amount, and bond and bank guarantee and clear the goods subject to verification. Now the verification takes many months and years. In fact, yesterday I came to know that in one case, the verification is pending from Thailand from last 4 years. It means that the authorities have sent and the verification information has not come from last 4 years. So as a result, their bond and bank guarantee is still pending, it is not clear. So this kind of situation can easily be avoided if the exporting jeweler, exporting country of origin issuing authority, and Indian importers, they are fairly aware about the calculations and the methodology adopted. And once they are fully aware of this, they can convincingly argue their case before the customs authority in India that this is a genuine import and there is no question of doubt. Many times we are not able to satisfy those doubts. So that is the reason of leading to the non-clearance of the goods, and goods are stuck up of many times, and many times it is cleared after payment of the differential amount of duty and the bond. So it doesn't provide in that case the duty benefit which rightly should come to the importing jewelers. So this again becomes a problem at the implementation level. There are a lot of challenges. There are challenges in India, in customs, in CBIC, in embassies, in the Directorate of International Customs, and many times these challenges are also there at the exporting country and their country of origin issuing authorities. So once the specific challenge is realized, then it can be executed, it can be handled. And to my experience, if we are sure and then it can be done quite easily and very convincingly. Now, this had been related to the challenges which comes at the end of the customs authority after importing from those countries having the free trade agreements with India. Now, friends, to understand the DGFT policies and how free trade agreements are organized, I'd like to say something on the basis of the production, manufacturing, import, export data of a country. Two countries, they decide which of the product to be included in the free trade agreement and which of the product to be excluded. Normally it happens that whatever goods which are locally produced, and since the locally produced are required to be given a preferential treatment, it is done. So the identification of products are very important. That is the reason all the free trade agreements have a specified list of the imported products and exported products. It's not a general list. It's a very specified product list on the basis that comes after doing necessary documentation and verification at the field level. And once we are sure that our products are covered, then government enters into this agreement. Friends, kindly also keep in mind that since we are importing gold jewelry in India, so we are concerned only to our products. But when the free trade agreements are signed, so this agreement is basically a financial and a trading relationship between two sovereign countries. And two sovereign countries, they decide to enter into this agreement to provide the larger benefit to their citizens. So larger benefit to citizens can come only when it is implemented honestly. When it is implemented with certain amount of manipulation, then it creates a lot of doubt. And many times I have seen that each country has certain amount of grievances, certain amount of doubts that their products are discriminated, their products are not easily cleared. So that situation can be avoided if product identification happens properly. Since we are largely dealing with the gold jewelry, so we are specific to this one. But there are hundreds of other items which affects the Indian importers, which affect the exporter of other countries, which again affects the domestic. For instance, if certain amounts of a product which are cheaply available elsewhere imported into us, in that case, it affects the local production system in India. It can also affect the local employment. It can destroy certain industries. So while reacting to any restrictions, we have to keep these factors into mind. And at the same time, once we are sure that our import documentation, procedure, calculations are proper, then I don't feel that there would be any challenges. Specific challenges, if they are there, that can easily be sorted out. So this is, my friends, related to free trade agreements. There has been a lot of issues that are coming, that customs are creating hurdles on the basis of certain flimsy doubts. Flimsy doubts are initially it is merely a suspicion. There is no evidence. Customs is not supposed to act on the mere basis of suspicion. They are supposed to work on the basis of evidence. Many times they are even without examining, they are saying that this product has to be cleared with a 100% bank guarantee. I mean, I just fail to understand that what kind of groundwork or homework they have done before saying that it is subjected to the 100% duty payment. I just fail to understand. So many times it's happening that certain products cannot be allowed to be imported. Even before filing the bill of entry, they are saying, please don't file bill of entry and don't try to import if it is coming from, say Thailand, Indonesia, respective countries. So this kind of thought process is totally against the letter and spirit of the free trade agreements. And friends, if this is done, it's a discriminatory in nature. And my request is that there cannot be any scope of discrimination if the documentation are proper, and if the country of origin document which are issued, it is done properly. So it is related to free of trade, and there are certain provisions related to carrot or anal. We have discussed while discussing this matter in a live way, and so basically, I have explained the DGFT policies related to imports of jewelry in a broad way. Now we can have some kind of question answer session, because I believe all the members of IBJA, they are very successful people, very knowledgeable people, and they ask very relevant questions. And IBJA as an institution has got a excellent resource person and they are doing such a wonderful work in different fields of knowledge sharing, that this Gyan series and the custom, the PMLA, and every day some kind of new items are discussed in the Gyan series. So I'm really thankful to IBJA and Suren Mehta ji, Kothari ji, Saurabh ji to provide opportunity to me to share my thought process. Now we can have an experience discussion and a certain amount of question answer that may be coming.